How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Chicago Bears recap week number one, where they walked away with their first victory of the year, 24-17, over the Tennessee Titans. Brendan Donald here with One IQ Sports Talk, and man, oh man, there is not a lot of things that I can really say. If you're a Chicago Bears fan, you are probably pretty upset with this game. Yeah, they got the win, they got the victory. You can walk away feeling fairly happy with the overall result, that it's a win in the win column. But honestly, one of the biggest problems for me with this particular game is the offense just looked completely dead in the water. I know I'm not the only Bears fan that walked away from this game feeling extremely disappointed from what we saw with the offense. It almost kind of felt like exactly what we ultimately saw last year from the Chicago Bears offense, where, again, you go back to week number one in against Green Bay last year. The offense just felt completely flat. They felt kind of lifeless. And this week, with so much excitement surrounding this Bears offense, Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Swift, and all of these guys, you just walked away and you kind of felt that this was a really rough game for the Bears. And one thing that I will say about this game and the offense, because we are going to talk about the offense a fair amount throughout this first week of the, again, for this first week, is that they just really didn't look all that good. And they looked, I don't really know the best way to put it, but they looked flat. And I will say this about the offense: they made some plays, but there was a lot more negative than there was positives. Only gave up the 2 sacks. Again, one was without a doubt on Caleb. That first one where he's just kind of doing a bunch of spinoramas and that type of stuff, the first sack of the game, that was completely on Caleb. And I think he even looks at that one as that is completely on him and it's kind of his fault. The second one, I can't really remember the second one, but the running game was atrocious. The offensive line did not provide any sort of holes for DeAndre Swift. 10 carries for 30 yards. Caleb Williams was 2 with 5 carries, 15 yards. DJ Moore had pretty much the best run of the game with 1 carry for 14 yards. But for a team that had a total of 84 yards, so granted, they kind of got there, but it was one of those things for me where the running game just wasn't good enough. And that was solely due to what the offensive line was doing. The offensive line gave up no holes for the running backs to kind of open up space and to kind of divert themselves and get them open and that sort of thing. And they just, it felt like they got manhandled out there today. And Nate Davis went out, Ryan Bates got in. Matt Eberflus at the end of the game, he was talking about that, going, "Oh, they neither of them really had a ton of reps, so we wanted to get them both a handful of reps inside this particular game." Whether that's Eberflus kind of lying a little bit just to kind of stretch the truth, because I don't think Nate Davis played particularly well. Again, I don't think any offensive lineman played particularly well today. Again, they weren't opening up holes. Caleb was being, just attacked right away. It was some pretty rough stuff. And then in terms of the receiving game, I think Caleb had just a very okay game. The passing stats aren't going to be anything. Again, 14 for 29, 93 yards, no TDs, no interceptions, for a passer rating of 55.7. This one, to me, it felt like he missed a handful of passes. Even he acknowledged during the press conference that he himself missed a handful of passes in this one, and he wants him back. But the receivers weren't giving him a ton of help either. There was that clear drop by Keenan Allen that was going to be a touchdown, and I think if that's the case, again, I still think the game is the result of a Bears win, but I think you look at this a little bit differently in terms of kind of the way that Caleb played, because numbers would be a little bit better. Obviously, he would have a passing touchdown. I don't think he put it into too many harmful positions. This really felt like a rookie quarterback in his first proper NFL start, and he was going up against a defense that was probably a little bit better than a lot of people were giving them credit for. I know I was a little bit worried about watching Caleb going up against this Titans defense. Again, they have some dogs out there. Again, you just take a look at this. Harold Landry, very, very good player. L'Jarius Sneed, corner coming over from KC through, I think it was a third round trade. Very good pickup for them. And Jeffrey Simmons again was just blowing up that offensive line all game long, and so it was really tough. There was a handful of throws that Caleb just simply missed, and he just didn't make good reads. I think he made a handful of pretty good reads today, and but ultimately this was a 50-50 game for me for Caleb Williams. I think 50% of this game was on him and 50% was on the players that were around him. He definitely made some plays, but he definitely let some plays go. And yeah, it was not the start that I think a lot of Chicago Bears fans would have hoped for when we looked at this matchup. We all felt this was a pretty easy win for the Bears, I think would be the best way to kind of put it. I don't think a lot of us thought that this game was going to go as poorly as it did on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, taking a look here at the receiving game, DJ Moore, 5 catches, 36 yards. Keenan Allen, 4 for 29. Rome Odunze, 1 for 11. Velus Jones, 1 for 8. DeAndre Carter, 1 for 6. Cole Kmet, 1 for 4. And then we had DeAndre Swift, 0, but he had 1 target. And Gerald Everett caught a ball, but he got tackled behind the line. Yeah, I don't really know how to describe what happened in this. I think Shane Waldron, he had probably, I would call it a C minus in his play calling today. There was a few plays where I kind of looked at the situation and went, you're making some of these interesting calls. Again, the 3 plays that resulted at the end of the second quarter, where it was just throw after throw after throw. I know there was a lot of people that are Bears fans that were upset about those decisions and they weren't happy that it was throw after throw. I know Mark Sanchez on the broadcast was going, well, you have 2 timeouts, you might as well try to run it. I don't disagree. I think there probably should have been a run, but you were kind of getting that sense in the actual game, leading up to this point, that the Bears were struggling to just run the ball. So, and if Keenan Allen makes that catch, he has a touchdown, the Bears have a touchdown, and it's not a goose egg for the offense here today. I think pretty much one of the biggest things that I saw that I was completely disappointed with, and we're moving away from the offense here, was Velus Jones, that fumble on the kick return. Like this is something that Bears fans have been kind of talking about, going, his lack of catching ability. And when you're a returner, you still have to be able to catch. And the first time he goes out there and it gets kicked to him and he drops it, you're just going, man, this is not what we want. This is not. And they immediately took him out of the game after that. I think him being a running back is one of those things where the second that Roschon Johnson is back healthy, I don't see a place for Velus Jones on this team anymore. I know people are talking about going like, oh, he can be, I'm forgetting the guy, Cordell Patterson. Like he can be a Cordell Patterson type guy. I don't see it. He had the he had the 2 runs for 11 yards. Like, okay. It just really wasn't all that impressive to me, and I don't really see a place for Velus Jones still on this team. A lot of frustration here. I think a lot of people look at this and go for the frustration. And yeah, there no turnovers for the offense other than the Velus Jones fumble. Rome Odunze technically had a fumble, but it was recovered. That was just off of that really weird play where the ball got batted up in the air. Rome caught it, brought it down, and got punched out of his hands. So there was a little bit of that. But then going over to the other side of the ball, the Chicago Bears defense, First two drives that the Bears defense was out there, I was looking at this going, wow, this defense is going to be a top 5 defense. If they are playing like this, they're stopping the run, they're making, Will Levis have a little bit of a tough day right now. Like he is not going to have a lot of fun if this is the case. And then the third series started, and the Titans offense just really started to get things going, and they were looking solid, man. There was a handful of drives where I'm looking at going like, what are we doing? What are we doing? They had that really long drive in the second quarter that I believe almost took like the entirety of the second quarter. And it's going, how are we going to properly be successful in this league if our defense can't get the opposing team off? Again, we want to see Caleb. We need him to get snaps. We want him to get out there. And they just didn't get that. But then second half comes out. They start to get back to playing that really stout defense that we saw from a year ago. Darrell Taylor, the edge rusher that we traded for with the Seattle Seahawks, he looked impressive today, man. I was pretty damn impressed with him. The 2 sacks, he had 8 total tackles, 7 solo on the day, and 1 assist. He was very, very good. Javon Dexter got a sack and a tackle for a loss, so he also played pretty well. But TJ Edwards, man, he was just all over the field. 15 total tackles, 10 solo, 2 tackles for a loss. He played very, very, very well. Then Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, both getting interceptions. Tyreek Stevenson getting that pick 6, the first one that he's ever had in his career, going back to high school, college, and now in the NFL. That was a pivotal moment, getting those 2 turnovers. But then again, also getting the blocked punt that was returned for a touchdown with Jonathan Owens, just being able to scoop that up and go in. And that's pretty much what changed this game for the Bears. The second that the Bears scored, it was okay. I kind of sat back at that point and went, the Bears are likely going to win this game because their defense is going to continue to get stops. The offense has to get some form of scoring here at this point. They went down and got a handful of field goals, which was good. And, or I believe they got a couple of field goals. Yeah, as I look here, 3 for 3. So Cairo Santos was perfect on the day. He looked good, no real worries there. But the second that Jonathan Owens scooped that up off of the blocked punt and scooped it into the end zone, I had a feeling that the Bears were going to ultimately walk away with the victory in this game, and it wasn't pretty from that point. They still had to get a lot, and again, the second that we got that pick 6, it was okay. Yep, Bears have won this game. I was confident enough in the offense to at least stay out there and get a handful of first downs just to continue to move the ball. And this was a rough one to watch, to say the least. The fact that, Tyreek Stevenson again went out there getting that pick 6, that really sealed the game. Jalen Johnson at the end of the game getting that interception, just showing why he's one of these top level corners. Again, I think our secondary played fairly all right. They allowed a few more passing attempts than I would have liked. But then again, when you walk away with only 127 yards given up, 2 interceptions, and only 1 TD allowed, and again, I'm trying to remember, Chig Okonkwo, he got that excellent reception from Will Levis just on that spin against Tyreek Stevenson, and that was a beautiful catch. Tyreek Stevenson, he just turned probably a little bit too late, I would have to relook at that just to kind of see, but it was one of those situations where he made a perfect catch. Okonkwo did, and Levis made a perfect throw, but Will Levis, he kind of allowed the Bears to have that game. He just kind of said, here you go, boys, have this. And he was making some really weird and that throw to Tyreek Stevenson that he just kind of tossed out there, that was one of the worst passing attempts I have seen from a quarterback in a long time. That was just a dumb move. But a young quarterback as well on the Tennessee Titans side. Taking a look here at the special teams again, we talked about the Jonathan Owens punt or a punt block that was returned for a touchdown. Played very, very well. DeAndre Carter, I'm impressed with what I saw from him. I think he's going to be able to give this team a lot of good opportunities. In the first two punts of the game, he brought the Bears offense either to the 50-yard line or past the 50-yard line into the Titans territory. If the Bears are going to get that consistently, and once the offense starts to pick up, that's going to be putting them into really good positions to ultimately just get a lot of easy scores. And the one kick return, I thought he was going to go back for a touchdown, and just again putting the Bears in good return situations. I think the Bears have found their kick returner and punt returner. Again, I don't know why Velus is still on this team, to be perfectly honest. Again, he's only ever been viewed as a returner, and he can't really do that. Drafted as a receiver, can't catch. I don't really view him much as a running back, so it's gonna be really, really interesting. Tory Taylor, 6 total punts today, had a couple of just bombs. He had that 160-yard bomb that looked really, really, really good. And again, I don't want to see Tory Taylor punt the ball 6 times in a game. That is not what I want to see. I want to see him punt maybe once a week, twice at the most. I know I'm being greedy here, but that's kind of what I hope for. Ultimately, Bears again walk away with the victory here today, 24-17 over the Tennessee Titans. This is the type of game where I say, if you're a Chicago Bears fan and you watch this, this is like a therapy game of where you need therapy after watching it, because you went on such an emotional roller coaster of a ride with this team of, the first half going, again, like we're just returning to this old team that we've seen before. It's just depressing. It's annoying to watch. It's just not fun. And it's so deflating, that first half. And then the second half, there was a lot of deflating moments, but there was also a lot of riding really, really high. This team, this is a well-constructed team. I will say this. It's a well-constructed team that can play. This game, if this happens last year, the Bears lose this game. This is a game the Bears lose 10 times out of 10. However, today, they walked away with the victory. I'm going to challenge the Bears moving forward to not allow this to simply be the standard. And I saw Kevin Byard at the end of the game, in the locker room. The Bears put out a video where he was chatting, and he goes, "This is a team. Offense, you're going to win games for us this year. Defense, we're going to win games for us this year. Special teams, they're going to win games for us this year. And this is why it's a team game." And I have to fully agree with that. This is a well-constructed team. And patience for this Bears offense is one thing that I think, as Bears fans, we are all going to have to learn a little bit of. And I know a bunch of us have been saying we're going to have to be patient anyways, and it's probably not going to look good, but I don't think we all expected it to look that bad. But my goodness, the team, it's a hard fighting team, and I got to give props to Matt Eberflus. I really, really do. He's a guy that coached this team with this winning culture and with this no quit culture. Even if you're down, we're going to get right back up. It almost reminds me of this Rocky Balboa. Like this is kind of what the team showed me today, of where they're a little bit of that Rocky Balboa. We might be down, we're definitely not out. They showed us that. Taking a look at next week though, the offense needs to be a lot better against this Texans team, because the Texans, they have an offense that has more consistency. Again, the Titans, they had DeAndre Hopkins today, but he didn't really play. Calvin Ridley had a couple of really good plays, so I don't want to rely on the Bears defense to go out there and get that win. I think the Bears defense will be a lot better than the Colts defense today. And, we saw what the Colts defense did against the Texans. And, CJ Stroud just looked like he was picking up right where he left off. But again, for me, one of the biggest things is the offense needs to be better. We need to see the offense actually score next week. But that is the Chicago Bears recap. Thank you all very much for joining me here. Again, I'm Brendan Donald on 1IQ Sports Talk for your Chicago Bears Week 1 recap. Till next time, I'm Brendan saying peace.